One of the things I love about the Bible is the symmetry in the story of God. He uses themes reoccurring over and over again. And one of the big themes is gardens. God seems to love gardens. I mean, our whole story, it starts in a garden. Kind of the middle point is in a garden, and the end is in a garden, a new heaven and a new earth. In this first garden, you see freedom and connection and intimacy and innocence and no distance, no separation with God. But then the fall happened, and we literally had to leave the garden. And God over and over again is trying to bring us back to this original state of relationship. He's trying to restore us to that. But sin just keeps growing and growing till really the only way for us to get back in the garden is for God to go ahead of us. And that's literally what happened. Jesus goes ahead of us into the Garden of Gethsemane. And with it, he carries all the suffering and sin that birthed out of it when we left the garden. He carries world poverty. He carries human trafficking. He carries drug addiction. He carries the shame that a sinner feels. He carried it all in the garden. But we still die and we still suffer. And I have to think that the reason why is because God wants us to experience over and over the freedom that we were truly given at the cross. So that when the world looks at cancer and it looks at divorce and disease and murder and world hunger and says, where is God? We can say he's on the cross. And it's a tangible expression of God's suffering and carrying our suffering. And so suffering now somehow becomes a way that in which we could unite with God in the midst of our hardship. It doesn't make it less painful, but it makes it the possibility that there's hope in the midst of it. And then what happens is we experience resurrection just like Christ himself rose from the dead, and where hell thinks it just swallowed another human being, it swallowed God. And so God vanquished death, and so now there's hope for us. And it's an interior reality that we experience now that will one day be an exterior reality. And so we just live out that restoration, and we invite people into it, and we become stewards of the world around us.